So you guys have heard a lot about the theory of the spirit of Islam in the seminar. You don't have many practical measurements. How can I take people's measurements, like with a ruler, right? And come and say, okay, look, you're about 5 inches too short, so you will not go to heaven, okay? That's the name of the game here. I want to be able to come up with a technology that'll be able to make some sort of measurement on you, so that way it'll come and tell you whether or not you're going to heaven or hell. So we have plenty of technologies nowadays that'll come and help you be able to measure what's going on in the physical realm, right? You have the Apple smartwatch coming out, you have Fitbit, you have Jawbone, you have all these different things that'll come and make these very physical measurements on you. It has accelerometers, it has GPS sensors, it'll tell you what you're buying, it'll give you your social feeds, it comes and measures your health. And what does it do at the end of the day for you? It's able to come back and it's able to provide you with a full user profile to be able to, am I talking too fast? I don't think so, all right? So anyways, it'll be able to come and provide you with a full user profile on what you did, who you are, how you were, what you should do, but it won't ever tell you you're good or bad, right? It'll just come and tell you, hey, you're like this compared to the average, you're like that compared to the average. It's not going to ever come and tell you whether or not you're good or bad. So let's deep dive into these technologies just a little bit and let's see what's going on inside, right? What's the most common thing? Well, it's nice to have a watch on. I'm already wearing something, so it may as well be a watch, right? I don't wear watches, right? But anyways, you're going to wear something, you want to be able to tell time with it. So the first little piece there is going to be the watch. The second little piece that often things have on them are cameras. Why? You notice people are taking a lot more photos nowadays. We're allowed to pick up a lot more information from these various appearances that are coming up and going. So therefore, what are we doing? We're going to be able to come and throw a small little camera on the watch. Next, the coolest thing in the world on Apple's iPhone is what? Siri, right? So we have language processing tools that's actually able to have a conversation, right? So for those of you who are extremely lonely, right, and you're at home and you're sitting, if there's nobody to talk to, all you got to do is hold that square button, and what happens? What may I do for you, right? And then you're able to actually have a conversation with it. So what happens? You combine these three technologies, and now I have what's called a smartwatch, right? It's able to actually come and not just tell you time, but tell you a lot of different things. So let's take these three things, let's put them on one side, because we do a really good job with it in the physical realm. Now we want to come and see what can I add to this from an Islamic aspect to be able to actually come and make something legitimate. What's that going to be? It's going to be called a spirit tracker. It is going to measure the level of the spirit of Islam within you. Is that clear? You guys got it? Good. So next. What happens with this spirit tracker? Well, the good news is we've already built one. And I'd love to introduce it to you today. It is called the iSLAM 6, all right? It is gorgeous, right? I mean, just the way it works. Oh my God, the way it looks, the way you can touch it, the way it feels. It comes with all these gizmos on it. True story, by the way, all right? So it has a high-resolution camera to do what? What does the high-resolution camera do? It's going to make these appearance-level measurements for you, right? Sisters, you don't got to stand in front of a mirror anymore. You wear the watch, it'll tell you, hey, do you have enough on or do you not? Put on some more hijab, or you know what? You maybe have too much on. Take some off. So next, it may have language processing, right? You have Siri. What's Siri going to do for you? Well, normally it's just supposed to have a conversation, but we've put in one little extra spice, and that's the conversation tracker, right? I'll get to that. And the last little piece is the most beautiful thing. This is where it took us the hardest work, just to work with the lawyers on this side and the alims in Qom. Oh my God, to combine these two things together and have the two work actually to be able to produce with the engineers a useful high-performance computing platform on this watch to do what? To do the man arafa nafsa faqad arafa rabbah little kit. And so what's that going to do? That's going to give you your behavioral assessments and your self-perceptions. The watch will tell you who you are. It'll save you all that lifelong search. You won't have to do it anymore. The watch will come and say, hey, that's who you are, and that's who you are. But what is it going to do? What do watches do, right? They tell time. This watch is different, right? How is it different? Watch, watch, watch. This watch is different because what's happening? What's happening? Who can catch it? All right, you guys are slow. It's counting down, right? It's not counting up. What happens with the watch? The watch counts up. To what? Right? Hajj Hassanain always likes to talk about infinity. Here's proof, right? Watches always count up. So we've flipped it. We're going to change the whole market with this, right? We're counting down, right? Why? Because Muslims like to count down. No pun intended, all right? To what? What do we want to count down to? No, not the kaboom, but the appearance of Imam Mahdi. Isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we're all waiting for? While I'm joking, I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. Imagine if we could have a watch that would do this for us. Take all of our actions, combine them, and provide you with an inference and say, hey, Imam Mahdi will come back at this time and this date. Be ready. What would you take? How much would you pay for it? I know we're cheapskates, but honestly, how much would you pay for it? Right? It's in our blood. So, the good news is, we've already released the beta version. It's already out. People have already tested it. They've already used it. And I've measured certain features, right? The ones that we talked about. Today, I'm going to present to you guys some preliminary results. No offense to anyone. But we're not ready. The first one is, of course, the punctuality. And I think tonight is perfect proof of that, right? Let's see how we do. Start time, 6 p.m. Make sure you are at a place at 6 p.m. Of course, I will be there at 6 p.m. Me being from the Middle East, that is definitely the start time, or is it actually the recommended start time, right? It's not starting at 6, we all know that, right? It's just suggesting to me to be present somewhere at what time? 6 p.m. What time am I going to show up? The actual start time, right? Which is 8 p.m. I know that, right? I'm just 2 hours late, but did you see what happened to the day tracker? The day tracker popped up, and now it's counting down from something much higher. Because I made a mistake, but I made a 2-hour mistake. Why did this thing go up 2 days? Well, it's because if you actually concatenate all of the amount of time and aggregate over every single time that you're late, we've provided you the benefit of the doubt of 2 days. I know when my mom tries to hold a program where you're trying to invite somebody to your house, our whole evening is gone. Because we have no idea, right? You have to guess, and there's no random variable that you can come up with to actually be able to come and approximate the distribution of the time that somebody's going to take to be able to come to your house, sit, have dinner, drink their tea, talk about all the different things that they want to talk about, and then leave. We're in bad shape. Next, the appearance, all right? Sisters, I'm sorry we didn't start with you guys. Brothers, we started with you. All right, why? It's mustahab to have what? The beard, all right? Some of us, so the results that we got back from this, we've given it a very specific name, by the way. It's called the Goldilocks syndrome. You guys have heard the story with the 3 little bears? Right? So the Goldilocks syndrome, what the watch actually came and did was it developed 3 user profiles for us to measure brothers' facial hair. All right? Let's see what it comes up with. Okay? Case number 1. Jesus, right? I mean, come on. I know it's mustahab, right? But, right? Number 2, so this is the too much. How does the story go? Too much, then? That's right, that was the too little. This is what? This is too much. The guy got really motivated. This is a guy from the Hunger Games, by the way, if you guys didn't recognize him, right? But anyways, the guy got really motivated. He walked into a mosque, he saw all the nice calligraphy all over the table. He said, I know exactly where I should put that calligraphy, right? And there it goes, right on his face. But then, how does the story end? It's always a happy ending. We always have the guy who got it just right, right? Let's see what the watch came up with. I was blown away. Oh, yeah. Look at the day counter. It's gone down, right? You gotta love the grin. And he's not here, poor guy. Talking about him behind his back. I think this qualifies as ghiba. Which is a perfect lead into my next one. All right, the conversation tracker. It's not just going to track and see what you're saying and search your Google results for you and do all of this kind of stuff, right? What is it going to do? It's actually going to find who else is talking about what you are talking about. Isn't that cool, right? Can you imagine how useful that would be at a seminar, right? You have a brother and a sister outside. They say, Assalamu alaikum. And next thing you know it, what happens? Well, let's see. It's going to start being talked about at the seminar, right? You see the little blip? See, that's Chicago. Did you see the brother? He was talking to a sister. It's not allowed. Right? And it starts in Chicago. What happens? Because we're the best secret agents, right? We can keep secrets like nobody's business, right? But 2 days after the seminar, what happens? Oh my God, that spread, right? Everybody's gone back home, and this message has now spread. What happens a week later? Oh! Right? Now you wonder why we're in the news all the time. It's because we put ourselves there. And honestly, look at the day tracker. See, we've just pushed up Imam Mahdi's time to coming to a year. He's like, what am I going to do with these guys? Moving on to our proprietary technologies that we've patented. It's the behavioral assessment. So we said, you know what, fine. We're not good at the normal stuff, right? These are the obvious things. We're just not good at it, right? We have to work. We have to improve on our own self-behaviors to be able to pick it up. So you know what we did? We tested you guys at last year's seminar, and you guys didn't even know it. We didn't have to get you guys to sign any form. There goes privacy policy, right? What happens in these programs? We'll take a small one, right? The program starts, we get to a middle of a lecture at some point in time and day, and then there's a small dua, and then what happens at the end? Of course, the food, the dinner, the sustenance, right? So let's see what happens. Are you ready? So the program starts. MashaAllah, everybody's focused. Here we go. We're about to talk about something really important, right? Day counter, notice, what did it do? It came down because we're doing a good job. So the watch is excellently picking up everything it should be picking up. In the middle of the lecture, the gears are turning, everybody's going, they look like they're right at you and you're engaged at them, and what happens? The watch looks a little deeper and it's able to find what? Yep, sorry. The guy was playing Super Sonic on Sega, right? That's because we can't afford the new stuff. We got to pull out our Segas. We're playing Sonic, it's going up and over, and that's all he's thinking about. How do I get out of that circle? All right? Then it comes time to dua. Now the Muslims are engaged. Now we're there, right? But the poor kids. All right? Honestly, oh my God, the poor kids. All right? Fine. We're not good at our religious stuff. But dinner? Did you see? We were working that line tonight. We actually stood really well in the line, didn't we? We don't do that in our own countries. We really don't, right? There is no such thing as a line. It's a, whatever. So let's see. The watch, remember, what is it doing? It's doing a behavioral assessment of your inner self. It's actually telling you who you are, right? Let's see who you are at dinner time. Oh no. You guys may be actually standing in the line. We know what's going on up there. Self-assessment. Self-assessment. This is it. This will be the cream on the crop. This will be it. This is done. Now we got our thing. What do we talk about everywhere? What are Muslims in general? Or maybe let's put it this way. What are Middle Easterners, right? What are we extremely well versed in? Health? All of us are doctors, right? In one form or another. We know. We know. Politics. We always have the solutions to all the world's problems, all right? And of course, Islam. Knowledge of medicine. Let's see. The watch is going to pick up who you think you are, and it'll compare to who it thinks you are. Are you ready? Knowledge of medicine, Dr. House. Complicated cases called top doc. Who are we actually? Not even a real doctor, by the way. Knowledge of politics. Malcolm. That's who we think we are. We're going to start a revolution in every part of the place of the world that we are. We have a strategic plan to take care of them folk in the Middle East. Knowledge of Islam. That's it. All right, fine. Politics, health. We know, but Islam is just unquestioned. What are the sources we use? Oh yeah. All right, Wasail al-Shia, you name it. Bahar al-Anwar. Quran is just, yeah. No. Bad news, guys. Really, really bad news. We're not ready, right? But it was interesting. Amongst all of the watches, I have 5 more minutes. Is that all right? Okay. So, all of the watch picked up was bad stuff, right? You see, we clustered all down here in this bottom area. You see the data it picked up? We have something left. There was one dude, one really, really interesting guy that actually fell above average. I was trying to wonder who that was. I had to go find this watch. Maybe it was a mistake on the watch. I wasn't sure, right? Not likely. But there was one outlying user. And this is actually based on a true story. It's not fake. It really isn't. Right? We were joking up until now, but now let's get ready. Who is this outlying user? It couldn't have come from a better place. From the land of Arafah. It really couldn't have come from a better place. Next to your Imam. You breathe the air he breathes. Your dua goes right in his ear. the step you take may be in his footstep. On that day, I had the blessed opportunity to visit some of the people who are more physically impaired and performing the Hajj. Not us, not those of us who go and are like this. The tents in Arafah are something else. They have a sort of weird configuration in that they have a stick that holds them up from the center. If that stick falls, this tent collapses. So you can imagine how dangerous this is for the physically impaired. You really can. So I went and sat with them, just for dua of Arafah. This was one of my first years trying to do that. And one of the days, the wind came and started to blow this thing left and right and left and right. And I looked up, and I was like, you know what? That's gonna fall. And if that falls, I don't know what's gonna happen to these people who are physically impaired under this tent. Sure enough, wind came, stick shook, it fell. And it was the most interesting thing in the world. There was one guy, picked up a cane and he just held up. Literally, he stood there firm and he held up this tent. It will not fall. It won't. 4 guys got up from the other sides of the tent. I was just watching. And I was like, good, they're gonna give this guy some support, they're gonna hold it up. And they all ran after the guy. I was like, what are you doing? Hold up the tent. Why are you going after the guy? I brought down my eyesight and I was like, Allahu Akbar. The guy didn't have a leg. And he was the first man up. And I saw him wearing a watch. And I was like, that's it. Look at his timer. Look how close it is for him. Even though he lost a leg already for the sake of Islam, he's ready to stand up there and hold this thing firm. And then it hit me. I was like, what is the reason? And it's the most beautifully said in Surah Al-Hajj. And there is naught but for any man or woman except that for which they strive. وَأَن لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. This man stood, regardless of his physical impairment or his cognitive impairment or any other impairment he may have had. He saw what needed to be done and he stood. He didn't budge. He held that tent. 4 people coming or not, he didn't even care. He was well up even before those 4 guys moved. And I was like, can you imagine the day when we have 313 clocks from this watch that are all counting down? Counting down how? From these high values, low values, crazy values? No. This value. We know it's happening. We know it will come. We know it. So let's do it. It's not hard. Why? Because there is no reason. He's already here. We just have to count down from the right point. And so with that, inshallah, you guys enjoyed the ride. See you next year. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.